It's that time again for EverQuest's Next Into the Portal. Your hosts for this evening are Geekdomo, LockSixTime, and Trendane. Let's get to the show right about now. That picture of Trendane with his head in his hand like this doing the mega face palm is exactly how I feel right now.
Mm-hmm.
Hello everybody, welcome to Into the Portal. Before we get going, you obviously see there's a problem. Locke and Trendane are frozen in carbonite. And they can't move. But through their mental telepathy, they can make words come out of the screen. Say something.
Something.
See? It worked. So we're having some video...
Just glad no one can see my tears streaming down my face.
Yeah, we were crying. We had a big hug. Okay, so we tried getting this to work on... tried getting it to work on Skype, and then we went from Skype to Google Plus, which was like my last resort. I ever wanted to go to Google Plus. And then we... couldn't get it to work on Google Plus. We went back to Skype and we said, you know what? Screw it. We're just going to do it with just the avatars. So
you know what? We're still doing better than RSI.
Yes, because the video is not skipping. But because technically there's almost no video to move right now, it's not that hard. And Locke is majestic in his black thingy.
He looks like Moses.
Oh, is it that? I love that picture.
It is a great picture. All right, so welcome everybody to Into the Portal. We're going to be having a little bit of a discussion today.
We should call it Into the Portal eventually.
Eventually. The frozen portal.
The eventual horizon.
Into the portal.
Yes, tonight I am the animated version. I'm going to mug for the camera as Locke and Trendane make their comments.
Mm-hmm. Except for the delay.
Just do lots of big nodding. It's so weird as well because I haven't got Twitch open, so I can't even see you.
I'm moving a lot.
Good,
girlfriend.
I'll be checking the video to make sure.
You know, stuff happens and we roll. This is how we roll.
It's live.
All right, so this will be available as a audio only version, which you won't see any of the faces move at that point. It's magic, and we'll have that available later on. So welcome back, Locke, who was gone last week.
Thanks, guys. It's good to be back. It was unavoidable last week, unfortunately, but I am back and I'm raring to go. Got lots to talk about.
Sweet. How are you doing today, Trendane? Ooh. Anybody else getting an echo?
No.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
How are you doing, Trendane?
Don't tell me there's something wrong with the audio.
Didn't I just said. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was weird because I was getting this echo and it sounded like you were moaning.
Well, no, no, not really. No, I've been trying to do a bit of voice recording stuff lately, so I've been staying up until really freaking late because it's the only time that there's no cars driving by in front of the house and my housemates aren't making noise. So usually between like 2 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the morning is when I get most of my recording done.
Perfect. Well, yeah, it's the same way here. Like my kids will be home in about half hour and then all hell breaks loose. So it turns into a circus here at the house. So I understand completely. All right, so for those who might be new to the show, this is not our normal format, but if you're new to the show, what we do is you can write in questions, and all we ask is that you write the word question in brackets. I can have video here, and I can show brackets, and you say, "I'd like to have an answer to this," and we will throw it to the expert panel and see what we can come up with.
We have one of those?
No.
Oh.
You know, fake it till you make it.
Mm. Well, since we're going to lose Pentapod here in a second, I wanted to cover my my crafting idea real quick. So I guess it was earlier last week, sometime after we did the the podcast last time, and it occurred to me that, hey, what if you had tandem crafting? Because like in WoW, if you're trading something to somebody, you have the will not be traded window. You can put something in there and like an enchanter can enchant it. But what if you did the same thing with like blacksmithing? Like both of you were at the blacksmithing, crafting station or something, and one guy opens it up because he's got like full skills, it's like all the amazing recipes and whatnot, and he opens it up, and the person next to him who's in a party with him, he ticks a checkbox in there that says apprentice, and that selects the person in his party that he wants to apprentice with him, and they can combine their abilities so that they can make a better item.
Okay. So, what do you think? What do you think, Locke?
I think stuff like that is absolutely brilliant. I think if you can put high-level crafters in a position where, let's say, if it required two people to form like a very high-level item, that you could have a high-level crafter that is required to make it, and as well the person that wants to use the item in the same place at the same time, and it just makes people who are high level crafting so valuable, and it makes their time in game valuable as well, which it means that they're selling their service as well as their product, and it's a much more social way of going about it as well, I think, rather than just having an auction house or a stall or whatever. So yeah, something like that would be fantastic for me. I think maybe just for very special, very rare things, those really high level things. I think it'd suck a bit if you were, changing out your gear every. Well, we don't know how progression will work exactly in EQM, but if you're changing out your gear every 10 hours, it could get a bit tedious. But in my opinion, like anything to increase social interaction is a good thing.
Absolutely.
Well, it would also address the point. I know a lot of people have asked, well, what about bind on equip items? Stuff that like. Again, to use WoW as an example, there were things that I wanted, but if I had somebody else make them, it immediately bound to them. But if you could do this sort of a thing, then it would be able to bind to the person that was having you make it. And maybe within a lore standpoint, they're just you could pretend like they're pumping the bellows on the forge just to keep the fires hot enough to make whatever it is. I don't care what lore aspect you put to it.
You could even do it where, like, say you're making a sword, and one person is a woodworker, and he makes the handle of the sword. Then you have a leather worker who makes the scabbard and the hilt wrappings, and then you have the actual blacksmith who hammers the whole thing out. You could work in tandem that way, right? Is that what kind of you're talking about?
Yeah. I was going to say somebody holding the anvil steady, but if your anvil is not steady, you are a pretty shoddy blacksmith anyway.
Exactly. Pentapod was saying... interesting idea. Do you think the super high level crafters would just two box it all the time?
Oh, is that what? Okay, she said two bars.
Yeah,
and I was like, what? Herself, I hadn't gotten that far down yet because I'll read slow.
Well, I think
there's a funny voice. Drink.
I think if it was a bind on equip situation, you could get around that. I really like the idea because I think it's more social, and I think it means. Knowing high-level crafters will be important to people. I think if like a crafter can just sit there multi-boxing and churn out a ton of stuff, then it takes away the social idea of it. So I guess you'd have to find a way around that.
Yeah. Would you charge for the services?
Well, that was actually the point that I was just about to say. If you've like quote unquote maxed out your thing to the point that you're not going to be getting any points or whatever. Is going to be the situation that, you're the master blacksmith. I mean, the apprentice, if he's apprenticing with you, might maybe get like double the normal thing because he's working with a master and he's learning from him directly rather than trying to work on it himself. So maybe you could accelerate their crafting their crafting levels that way. I know there's no levels.
But this does bring up a point. In Pentapod, I was just about to say this, and she said it too at the same time. Are people really going to want to interact with each other? Because whenever I was crafting, like I'll use World of Warcraft as an example, I would have 4 or 5 alts that did different things so that I could create the thing I wanted to create by myself, basically, just for convenience. Like I didn't want to have to walk around. Hey, I need somebody to make me a leather sheath for this sword I just made, and stand there for 20 minutes in chat trying to find somebody to make that for me. So what do you guys think? I mean, it's a great idea, but in in realistic terms, will people do that? Will they want to stick around?
I mean, is it likely that people will dual box it? Yes, there's every likelihood that will happen. I think we'll see a lot more people, more than likely, just working together. But that's just hope for the human race on my part, I guess.
Keep hope alive, brother. I think if it became almost a service in the way that portaling is in a lot of games, or there's a lot of Mesmer portals in Guild Wars 2. Like, people will ask for donations for portaling to the top of jumping puzzles, or World of Warcraft with mage portals.
Mm-hmm.
All that kind of stuff. I think if it was considered as a service rather than as a crafting thing, so it was like a crafter's time was spent doing it rather than them having to put a particular amount of effort into doing it. I'm really a fan. I think the whole system in a sandbox game, it should be set up to be as social as possible, in my opinion. I think I've said it many times before on the show. I think I heard it phrased brilliantly in this talk I watched recently, where one of the Eve designers for CCP said players will optimize towards boredom, which is, I love that phrase because it basically means players will do whatever it takes to do the most efficient thing, no matter how boring it is. Mm-hmm. And I think if you can make the most efficient way of doing something to find another player, then I think you're onto a winner with social interaction. But
that's a great idea, because that brings up a great point. If they can develop it in such a way to where it takes you an hour to go about doing it the other way, like by hand, making another alt and having all that other stuff. It takes an hour to do it that way, but it would be only 5 minutes to do it by looking for somebody else to make that other part. Maybe that's the solution, where it's just so incredibly difficult to make it yourself. Whereas just finding somebody who has a station already set up and is making it, it'd be easier just to run over to him and buy it from him.
Yeah. Or maybe just a system of crafting that isn't friendly to multi-boxing, but that's going on about. It's all pie in the sky, isn't it?
I was going to say, how do you detect it at that point?
Right. Unless you block it by IP address or something, which would be really prohibitively.
I don't know. I've never used multi-boxing. I'm sure a lot of people watching have, but I always thought it was a strange thing to do, to be honest. But I'm a strange kind of guy.
I did it for a little while in World of Warcraft because they had the Refer a Friend program.
Oh, yeah.
And this is before they had the bind on account stuff. So you could make 2 or 3 alts and make them your friend, and then you could power level yourself to like level 10 in only a couple minutes by having 2 or 3 iterations of the World of Warcraft running on the same computer.
See, even that though, isn't it? It's quite depressing, isn't it? You go through all that trouble just to skip out the easiest and quickest chunk of the game. Is like, oh no, I won't bother with that. I won't find someone else to do all these easy quests with and just burn through it. No, I won't do that.
That's kind of how I feel right now, because I spent all those moments preparing this whole thing, and then Pentapod says, "Oh yes, it's just like we had an EQ2." And I'm like, "Oh my god, they've already done it!" No, my brilliant, beautiful idea, and it's not even around.
It's okay, Trendane. We can't see your tears, but we empathize.
We'll have a big beardy hug after the show, and everything will be all right.
Yep. Time to drink. Drink. Legendary Neurotoxin says, "What's up with the still image? Is LockSixTime today?" No. He had a bit of pork pie, and it had legendary neurotoxin in it, and it caused him to freeze.
And if you'll remember last week, we said that he was going to have a large wart removed that happened to be his entire head.
Yes.
So
that's not true. That's not true. I was getting breast augmentation, and you know it.
On your face.
All right, we're derailing.
So the camera can't handle my beauty.
All right, the next title or the next topic. What do you guys think about the live cast they just had? They're delving into our region.
You know what? I've seen a lot of negative, or at least indifferent, ambivalent sentiment towards it, but I thought it was great. You know what they're saying. I've tried to maintain this attitude of it is still incredibly early days. Like Dave Georgeson even said on Twitter, was it today, that they still consider themselves to be in pre-alpha for Landmark, even though we're very close to launch. And I think them coming out and saying like, this is what we want to do, this is why we've made these decisions, these are the reasons why we're interacting with you in the way that we are, and it is early days and it's all building towards something. It's not just, this isn't how it's always going to be. We're going to get to a point, obviously, where a lot more information is coming out. They're just saying, they're laying the groundwork, because like they say, they're still designing the systems that they're going to be using to communicate this, and so they're still making changes themselves. It's like, you guys know, when you're making YouTube, it's a constant iterative process, and every time you're trying to communicate ideas to people, there's always times that every time I upload a video, I'll always, like, there'll be something in the back of my mind going, oh my god, you didn't explain that properly.
And then that's what they pull out.
Exactly.
That's what the viewers will grab on. They'll know it too. They'll be like, you didn't say that right, pal.
Well, there's a lot of smart people that watch our videos.
Well, smart is a word to say for them, yes. But I have a couple other choice words that I could say for them too.
But that's the thing, it's the same with them. They're just people, and they have a job, and they're working through an iterative process, and they took time out of their busy schedules to explain to us why, they're doing it in the way that they're doing it. And I think it's great. I really look forward to seeing more live streams. And Omeed looked beautiful. I know people were talking about his haircut so much, but damn.
Did you get to watch it, Trendane?
Yes.
What'd you think?
I thought that Dexella kind of ruined the magic a bit when she mentioned that she and Terry were looking at the chat down through the glass table, but
that's very pro over there, right?
Because Omeed's got his iPad sitting right there next to him, so he can watch that, and I'm like, okay, see, that gives it kind of like that old school '70s newscaster look thing where they got the television embedded in there. Yeah. And of course, they're just looking through the table. I'm like, okay, we got kind of a continuum sort of thing. I expect to have them, this big transparency techno digital tabletop thing going, and they're making Omeed use a tablet on the other side of the table. It just,
it's but techie.
I mean, yeah, it was techie. It's just No, I thought it was pretty well.
We can't even get our webcams to work, and you're having a go at Omeed using an iPad.
They were pro, man. Did you see when it was starting up, how they had the long shot behind, and you could see all the lights that they had, and
all that? Everything queued up and ready to.
Oh God, yeah.
Seller was all like, "Hey, what about this? Cut to video."
Way more professional than us.
There was one point where Dexella's mic.
See you, Pentapod. Sorry, she's leaving.
Yep.
Thanks for coming. Bye bye.
Where her microphone it was pinned to her jacket, or clipped to her jacket, kind of rolled under. And so it wasn't picking her up as well. And I think she and Terry were on the same channel. And so they had to turn her up so you could still hear her, because her mic was covered partially. And there was a point where I was like, oh, man, Terry's going to be booming the next time he says something. And he said, well, and it was like, BAM!
Man, I didn't even notice that. I'm so oblivious.
It really is. I mean, this is what was our 8th episode? I don't know how many we've done.
Something.
But everything breaks.
Yes.
Things break and stuff happens. You're live. It's.
Hey man, we're on the cutting edge. Yeah, we're on the bleeding edge. Live casting over the internet. It's exciting times, man. It's the 21st century. Especially
when nothing has changed since the last time we used it.
Right. That's the worst part. Is I literally just was on a call with some people a little bit ago. 3 people on a call with all of us having cameras. It was beautiful. We were talking blah blah blah, and I hang up with them and I call up Trendane and Lock, and I get nothing, like no video at all. And so I restarted my computer. I turned it off, turned it back on. I saw that comment there, and then we tried all these different things, and we just couldn't get the video to start up at all. And I don't know what the little deal is, but it happens. So I think they did fine with Sony. it's people beat you up over live cast, but it's live. You know, there's stuff that happens. Well, like we were just watching Star Citizen the other day, and that was completely horrible. It was frozen for like almost the entire time. You couldn't watch it.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Tyroline. You know exactly what we're talking about up on here.
Up in here.
Up in here. So, Tyroline, are you a quality assurance person yourself? Oh yeah, now we have to drink.
He was accusing Trendane of bringing a little bit of the magic.
Just because we break stuff, it's our job to find out where it breaks.
But now I need you to help me fix it.
Well, see, that's kind of the funny part, is because while we were doing this, Pentapod was tweeting to me and Tobrod and go, "Fix your shit, devs."
She's notoriously cruel on Twitter.
It's okay.
Don't tell her I said that.
Well, she's gonna watch this now.
She's going to listen to it.
Oh no!
Listen to it. Yeah.
I thought I was safe.
Well, look, she didn't see you say it. All she just heard somebody that sounded like you say it. So there's your out.
Point of reference, real quick, as long as we're talking about live casting stuff. People in the audience who are watching, do you prefer this in iTunes format or just an MP3? Because I can put it up either way, and I'm getting some feedback on it. Some people want just iTunes, some people want MP3. But whatever. MP3, iTunes sucks.
iTunes is 3 stars.
iTunes is 3 stars. Out of 4 or out of 3?
Out of 11.
3 stars.
All right, so what's up next?
The player-driven economy thing was something that people wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I'm sorry I can't open tweet. Let me see if I can get my tweet deck up here. Some people did write in some topics that we were going to cover. Okay. This is from Tyroline.
I'm just over it. We are today. Like we tried so hard to get it to work, and now we're here just going, oh god, everything's gone wrong.
Everything's gone wrong at this point.
EverQuest Next is cancelled.
Yeah, they basically said because of our podcast, they're just throwing the whole thing out the window.
EQNext canceled, confirmed.
And you heard it here first, folks.
They're working on Half-Life 3 instead.
Yeah. Okay, so Tyroline says possible carrier, career. Sorry, possible career for casual players: crafter, farmer, shepherd, innkeep. How might they work with a limited playtime? So, what do you guys think?
Oh.
Get it together, men.
No,
Okay,
it's not.
so we're talking about social and crafting classes.
Mm-hmm.
If someone with limited playtime wants to go out and fight, but also wants to do social things and do crafty things.
Yep. Just casual playing. Casual playtime.
Well, I think define casual
Maybe,
playing. Really, if it's a question of playtime, then I guess people. You've always got to prioritize your time, haven't you? I mean, I'm sure we've all had times where we've been at work just thinking, oh man, if only I was at home, I could get that extra level to do whatever. I think people with less playtime, they tend to value their playtime a lot more, and they tend to do things that they just want to do what it is that they enjoy. So I don't know. It's up to them. It's a personal preference thing, surely. That's why you need to, within like an open world MMO setting, you need to just provide a lot of options and a lot of different play styles, and then hopefully, players will gravitate towards whatever they want to do at that moment. And with the multi-classing thing, that's the big thing. Right. The fact that you don't have to start a new character and level it up every single time you want to do something. So a casual player could end up as being a very accomplished. A particular combat class, but then decide they fancy a break from that and want to try doing something else, but they've still got that kind of higher level. I keep saying higher level today. I know it's not levels, but that more experienced element to their character, which allows them to do that. So, is that an acceptable answer to that question? I did my best.
No, you did fine. What do you think, Trendane?
Cheers, Domo.
Well, I'm still thinking about those wee shepherds with their sheep. And I'm
the wee shepherds.
trying not to think too much about their casual,
filthy
that-
casuals with their shepherding. Why aren't they goat herding? You can get an extra 0.2 litres of milk per hour if you herd goats instead of sheep. Just saying.
I don't know why Trendane's not going, everybody. I had no idea.
Spoken like someone who knows. Okay.
How do you think he got that epic beard?
Which one of us are you talking about?
Locke.
Okay, I was going to say, because
He has like a goat's wool mantle over his head with a big long beard.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you meant that the white streak in my beard. It's not goat's milk. Stop it. It's just.
Oh God.
Yeah,
by the way, you guys, I can't switch the chat over to the other chat on Skype because I called you guys on this other one. So I have no idea what the questions are. So one of you two are going to have to read that for me. As we prove how professional we are today with our podcast, I yet again have something broken.
Okay, so question 1 is from Zara. And it is, what do you think will be the first thing you try to build on EQN Landmark?
Do you want to take that one, Domo?
Sorry, I was trying to get the...
No worries. The first thing, the very first thing that I'm gonna try and build is my dwarven steakhouse that I'm doing with a couple of IRL friends. We're going to do a dwarven steakhouse. It's going to be built into the side of a mountain. Hopefully, it's going to be mostly underground in true dwarven style. Humble up top, party down below, like all the best things. Then, yeah, that'll be it. Hopefully, I was looking at Dave Georgeson's build today, and I saw torches on the walls, and there was a nice big stove and everything. So hopefully I'll be able to get it, with a kitchen in the back and tables out the front, like a German beer hall style. Mm-hmm. So I suppose like quite a traditional sort of fantasy thing to start, but I would quite like to quickly move into non-fantasy realms, just for the sake of it, really, just to throw a spanner in the works a little bit.
Well, that actually brings up a great point. I am going to be using SO Emote to do some broadcast, either talking about EverQuest Next or whatever. So one of the first things I'm going to build is a studio, like with a green wall in the background, so I can do green screening and everything. Just make it as pro as possible with lights everywhere, so it's really well lit. So that's my first.
So cool.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing first, and I'm going to have guests come by, and they can come by in character and talk with SO Emote on the screen. We'll do like we're doing now. Maybe we could do it into the portal some point. All SO emotes. We're all sitting there. I'm like a frog lock, and you could be a dwarf lock. It'd be fun.
Of course. Oh, that'd be great. I'd be totally down for that. We could do like a proper news show.
Mm-hmm.
Can I be a weather correspondent?
Yes, he can be like, and today the weather's going to be rainy.
Just like dwarves sound like.
Sun go up, sun go down. Lava storms.
No, you could probably do a much better dwarf. I was doing more of a frog lock.
Oh, yeah.
Because it kind of got that Kermity sound. Kermity frog here.
I don't know. How do dwarves sound in EverQuest? I played a little bit of EverQuest too.
Sure.
You reckon Scottish?
Absolutely.
I don't want to do a Scottish accent.
No, Trendane can. Go ahead, Trendane.
Listening.
Be funny, man.
No,
Scottish.
We'll let Tolbrun do that. That's his. Although we covered that my Scottish accent's thicker than his is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I know how to say in Scottish is, "Hey, you English bastard." That's all I hear. When you get north of Newcastle, it's just men in skirts throwing rocks at you. It's very confusing.
And picking up telephone poles and throwing them into the air.
Don't tease. Don't tease. Which brings me to my answer to the question, what would be the first thing that I would build, is I would build myself a boyfriend. Yes.
A whore house. You hoa?
Yeah, not a hooer.
A hooer?
So our next question from Shadowspawn2112. Multiple economic hubs instead of a central auction house?
Say that again?
Multiple economic hubs instead of a central auction house.
Oh, yeah. We talked about this before.
Well, then to hell with it.
Oh, no, that's fine. We can recover it again. People, there's different opinions, but I kind of like the whole idea that sort of like in Eve, you have to travel to certain areas to sell certain things. Like maybe up in the Halas, northern region, you can get wool a lot easier than you can down in the tropical region. So if you want to get if you want to get bananas, you got to travel to the southern region, and if you want to get wool or whatever, you travel to the northern region, and go to the auction houses in those particular locations.
Yeah, fantastic. It opens up so many opportunities for, player agency and things, being able to kind of forge their own paths. It is my hope that we'll end up with, groups of players that have decided they want to make money just by transporting goods, either as a courier service or just, to play markets in different areas. Like, I think that'd be a fantastic thing to see. It's one of those things that makes the world feel big. And it's, hopefully it's something that will create personalities for areas. Like if there's a booming industry for a certain thing in a certain area, like hopefully the area will, if we're building in EverQuest Next, hopefully that area will kind of take on the characteristics of whatever it is. So, if you've got a mountainous region, a lot of buildings would, they'd be made of stone. It'd probably be quite cold. So maybe you'd have lots of firs and things, very kind of Nordic. But then in a more temperate area, you'd like in a wooded area, you'd probably get a lot more wooden structures. And you see where I'm going with this. And by the sea, just because of, the materials that are to hand.
Yeah, you don't want to walk through a desert town and see nothing but everything built out of logs and trees, because there's no trees and logs around. You want to be more like an adobe hut or something, more mud.
But then alternately, as we know, like all the way back in the day when it was very difficult to move materials over long distances, it was an incredible, it was a big sort of status symbol, wasn't it, to have things built out of certain materials that were rare in an area and hard to come by.
Like in England having marble.
Yeah, Tyrolin's just mentioned in chat about only the super rich would have imported marble for houses. So things like that, if a player had a full marble house, far away from any source of marble, you'd know that they were a big deal, or they'd achieved a lot to be able to do.
I can't build a house out of marbles; they keep rolling off.
Use honey, stick them together.
Mother, go back to bed.
So, next question is from Blue Plane. Do you think they should let us design holiday-like buildings, such as a haunted house for Halloween?
Yeah.
Do you want to go on that, Domo? Very certain.
Or was that it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they've said with Landmark they want us to be, they want players to contribute towards certain elements design in the game. There was a great piece in EQ Hammer from Lewis Bloor today about exactly this, and the idea of development time being passed over to, being crowdsourced by the players of Landmark. So when these holidays come up, they can use assets created by players instead of taking development time away from the team that could be, patching bugs, creating new content.
They also said that,
but at the same time would be able to fill the world with all kinds of magical awesomeness to keep it fresh.
Mm-hmm. And they also said that, if in Landmark, if you want to build the Enterprise, Landmark is a completely different game. It's completely, not quite unassociated with EverQuest Next. But you can build whatever you want in Landmark. Mm-hmm. No restrictions. Just go for it.
But to try to get that same element put into the real game, it would have to get voted on by the players. So.
Right, and that's where it would have to fit.
Yeah, we're great. I'm sure we'll see a lot of science fiction stuff. And there was something I rewatched the SOE live reveal, and I think it was then that Dave Georgeson said about just think about walking through players' imaginations. And I think if you think about the game, not just at launch, we were talking about what we want to build first, but imagine a few years down the line, imagine, a world that a guild really kind of got hold of, and you could go into a server that's procedurally generated, and people could have created so much. I mean, we always talk about Minecraft when we're talking about Landmark, but just look at some of these enormous builds that people have managed to make using the tools in Minecraft. Mm-hmm. And when you think about the amount of collaboration that is possible, and the amount, then you've got the player studio as well, so people will be able to get templates very easily for making things, which cuts down on development time for their own project. And then you start imagining these worlds that are very mature, and you could have an enterprise next to Helm's Deep, next to an original structure that someone's built, a replica of the museum from their hometown, and all of these things just on top of each other, and players interacting between those, and being able to walk through them as your own character, and use the heroic movement system. That's another thing. Parkour races have to happen in
I'm sure they will.
Yeah. I just thought of that. But yeah, when the servers become more mature, I think we'll see some really incredible things. So that is my answer.
Yeah, you were talking about building a replica, and Northley was saying that somebody's already made the Buckingham Palace in Minecraft, and I've seen the Taj Mahal in Minecraft, and there's just so many different, and that's being done with really large bricks,
Yeah, the level of detail is, it's impossible to get in Minecraft. It's hard enough to build anything that could be considered round or spherical.
Unless you walk way back.
Yeah, unless you make it huge and walk really far away.
Exactly.
That's no moon, it's a space station kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Build something that big in Minecraft. You probably could. I'd like to see the Death Star in Minecraft. Okay, somebody who's in the audience right now, do it.
Go right now.
Share it next week. Next week, hopefully, we'll have video.
1 week. Go. Make it 1-to-1 scale.
1-to-1 scale Death Star.
Oh my God! 1-to-1 scale Death Star parkour race down the trench. First one to jump into the hole that Luke shoots down wins.
That would be so epic.
Someone do that with the turrets on the roof.
Here's the problem. If it is 1-to-1 scale, you're going to need a lot of space, and I don't think you're going to be able to start off with that many plots of land. I think they're talking about like giving you an acre to play with per person. So
yeah. Well, we haven't been told how big the area is going to be.
I don't think it's planet-sized.
I actually, interestingly, I've been thinking about this. I actually hope that it isn't too big. Like, I would quite like it if I was building and I could actually see other people's plots around me while I was building. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to be in a sort of high concentration of people, like I'd quite dig that. Just being able to sort of wander around, like, say hi to your neighbours. I think that'd be...
Neighbour?
Howdy, neighbour. But then, at the same time with procedural generation, I'm sure you could run off and get lost.
So someone said they did do it, and they put a link up, so we'll put it in this thing here. Hold on. Media file. There it is. So there is the Death Star built in Minecraft, sort of. What do you think?
Oh no, I haven't got the video up. There's an amazing group of people. I forget what they're called. Hopefully someone in chat will be able to help me. But they make roller coasters based on films in Minecraft.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else has seen this. It's absolutely incredible, like what they can do. There's a Ghostbusters one. There's a Beetlejuice one. That's amazing.
That's not a Death Star. That's a moon. All right, let's go on to the next one there, Mr. Trendane.
Okie dokie. This one is from I don't know who, because it doesn't have a name next to it. It just says question. If there aren't going to be any levels to gain in EQN, how would gear progression work? For example, a best in slot item drops that's not BOP. That person can't use it and sells it, and a brand new player buys the item. Is that OP? Does it mess with the economy too much?
Well, it's kind of like the Guild Wars 2 model, right? I mean, pretty much everything was for sale on the marketplace there, including legendaries.
Yeah. A friend of mine crafted a legendary and sold it within 6 months of the game launching. He was hardcore. Anyway, what was I going to say? There's a lot of assumptions in that question about how gear is going to work, how loot drops are going to work, with the way that gear's been described to us before, and the way that builds and classes are going to work. It's probably quite unlikely that there would be one definitive best in slot item, apart from very sort of cookie cutter flavor of the month builds, which will probably be the 1v1 backstabbing ganking builds. I think if we're gonna if there are like typical loot drops, like if you kill something and it drops a sword with +2 strength and +1 agility on it, and someone wants that, I don't see how you can make a system of crafting that is compelling, along with the multi-classing system that they've talked about, and at the same time have that sort of gear drop thing. Oh God. Was that question at Luck explain horizontal progression?
Yes, could you please explain horizontal progression? Go.
Okay. Classic MMOs, including World of Warcraft, generally have vertical progression, where what happens is, as your character advances through the game, you gain levels and you gain equipment that give you a direct boost to power, either the damage that you can deliver or the damage that you can take. Those are numbers that statistically move you up, and generally have a very steep power curve, where you start off very, very weak, but then as you gain in power, you gain more and more power faster and faster and faster. So, a max level character would completely destroy a level 1 character no matter what, just because the number differentials are so huge that there's no way you can get around that. And that's how MMOs have tended to handle progression before, where you get to the end game content, you get to the last raid, the last boss, they drop the items with the highest numbers on, and then you get it, you go, woo, I am as powerful as I can be, and then you wait for the next raid to get the next lot of items that go, and then you go, woo, I'm as powerful as I can be. Right. And people call that progression, but really it's just when you get to that point, it's running on a treadmill. And in my opinion, we kind of need to move past that, because anyway, I could talk about that for hours. Horizontal progression will be in a system like EverQuest Next. With the multi-classing system, you've got 40 different classes. The idea is you start with one, you go out into the world, you find the other classes, you get abilities from those classes to mix in with your favorite class that you're getting your weapons you're getting your weapon skills from. You're mixing in different skills from other classes. You're acquiring gear that augments those abilities and allows you to refine your playstyle more and more and more. There will probably be a power curve within that, but it's very, very shallow. Like in Eve, for example, or in Minecraft actually, the power curve is very, very low. So a really, really advanced character might have a statistical advantage numbers-wise over a newer character, but they're still close enough so the newer character can be of value to the high-level character, whether that's as an ally or an opponent.
Okay.
I could keep going. Is that enough?
Yeah. So basically, it's like you have there are no levels. So I think it was legendary neurotoxin. Somebody just said a second ago. Basically, you start out the game at max level, and there are no levels. You're just going to be gathering new gear, new skills and abilities, but you're not going to actually become level 90. There is no level 90.
Yeah, but as you sort of gain in experience, you gain more and more tools that you have to approach different problems. So while you don't have much more numerical power than a new player, perhaps you'll have more tools and more abilities to approach an encounter. And also, hopefully in the system we'll see a skill-based system that rewards knowledge about the game. In the same way playing a game of League of Legends, if you go in knowing nothing about any of the champs, you're just going to get rolled. So a huge part of that game is learning the different skills and abilities of of the different characters in that game, and hopefully that'll be a big part of EverQuest Next, and that becomes part of the player progression through their own experience and their own knowledge of the game that allows them allows them to be more powerful in that respect because of what they know and what they can do, rather than just some numbers on a spreadsheet.
So technically, you could walk out your door at level. Where's level 1? Okay, so you start the game off. You got your you've got your little tin sword and you got your wooden shield, and you could run to the hardest part of the game where there's some dragon, and technically you could fight that dragon and win at the same way you could as if you did it later on when you had all the best gear and all the best skills, or probably not. What do you think?
I hope that it would be possible for an experienced player to be able to take part in a group with a brand new character, to be able to tackle high level content. I hope that that's possible. I don't think it should be, or I don't think it will be possible for someone who is brand new in the game to just stumble across something and be able to do it single-handed. I'm hoping that the game won't be designed that way.
I mean, with story bricks and all the AI and stuff, it probably wouldn't be.
With the AI, with comments from Dave Georgeson on the MMORPG podcast, where he was talking about, they're not going to be shy about encouraging grouping, which it filled my heart with joy. So it did, and he said he wanted to bring like the kind of adrenaline of being out in a dangerous world back, which
it's not anymore.
It was a glorious thing to hear. So it was a glorious thing to hear. But I hope that in terms of numerical power, I hope that it's not just a case that someone who's been playing for longer will just be able to completely roll a lower level player. Not just for the lower level player, but for the higher, more experienced character as well. Because every other character in the game, every other person playing the game that is a legitimate target or a legitimate, ally, anyone that can add value to your play experience, that's adding value to the game exponentially, because, it's interacting with people that make these games so special. And I think that when you're level 120 super dude of awesomeness and you stumble across a level 1 squire and accidentally set off an AoE and kill them straight away, that other player is adding nothing. They're adding no value to your player experience, and it's an absolute waste, and it's a shame.
I don't see that happening.
I got quite into that, man.
That's fine.
Anyway.
No, I don't see that happening, but I'm we can just only hope right now. Like we were saying, this is all speculation. We have nothing hardcore yet. So, all right, let's continue on. There's so many questions are flying by. Go grab the next one.
Sorry, while I ramble on.
No, that's fault. It's all right. The reason I wanted a little clarification is I was ready to do another ramp up video for EQNext, and people have been asking me, please explain horizontal progression, and I thought I had it right, but I just wanted to check with some other people, and I figured people were talking about it in chat, so let's talk about it now.
It's the numerical power curve is the main thing.
We'll have to draw a pretty picture with paint. show it. The graph.
Do it. Oh, draw me on it as well.
I will. I'll put Locke there with a beard.
Draw it like one of your French girls. Speaking of which, the next question
is from a French girl.
Sort of, and kind of about Locke being one.
As being submitted as his drawing?
No, literally being one. The next question is from whoever, because there's no name. Thoughts on sex change for characters? Maybe a cursed item like that gender reversal belt from D&D.
Ooh. Why not?
Now we're getting back to the big swirly black boobs like we had before the show.
Yeah. No, why not, right?
Well, it's a free-to-play game. Character recustomization will almost certainly be in the cash shop. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, see, I really don't want vaginas on me anyway, and I sure as hell don't want one to be a part of me. So,
but if it's a curse, if it's a spell,
get it away.
If it's a curse spell or something like that.
Yeah, but then if there is a character recustomization in the cash shop, and someone gets forced to change gender against their will, and then they go, oh, but I can change it back if I spend real money in this free-to-play game.
Yeah.
I think people would be a little upset about that.
I reserve the right to just PNS RP all the time if that happens.
All penis, all the time.
It could just be an illusion spell and just goes away after a while.
It better be.
All right, next question.
Oh, right. Yes, I hadn't even pre-read the next one yet. So the next one is from Seamus James.
Hello, Seamus James. He's a regular viewer.
Have you three guys noticed that the two zones we've seen in game, Ashfang and Fair, or however that's pronounced, are extremely similar to PlanetSide 2 environment skins? Does that make you wonder how far they actually are in world design?
It's a great question, and I personally I see where he's coming from. I never made the actual comparison. I didn't like pull two side by side to try to see, but yeah, I can sort of see that. What do you think, Locke?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see a ton of similarities, especially going back to it's a very early stage. I'm sure we'll see, just from concept art, we've seen the underground areas that are nothing like PlanetSide. We've seen, the lava storm area, which is nothing like PlanetSide. I'm showing that
right now.
So it's one of those things that this early we'll probably notice a lot more similarities, whereas down the line when they are ready to show more new things, when they've finished those, and when they add the new biomes, is that a word that we're using?
Yeah, biome.
Yeah. When they add the new biomes and stuff, I'm sure we'll start seeing a lot more variety. But it makes sense for them to start with assets that are more complete for them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want they don't want to show half done stuff, do they? Because then it just goes around the internet. This game just like a piece of meh.
Well said.
Which is so weird.
Well, that's normally what the arguments amount to. So
because in Star Citizen, which is being funded completely by the community, they are showing you everything as it's being developed. I mean, there's hardly anything they haven't shown us yet. Whereas Sony is really sort of in their black box, and they aren't showing us much of anything. And I think there's two problems with that, or solutions, or however you want to look at it. If they do show us everything, then we feel a little bit more comfortable with it. But if they're hiding some of it, then we don't know what's happening. But then we have no way to criticize what they're doing, So and then as I'm saying this, Omeed shows up. Hello, Omeed.
Omeed, we've been saying so many nice things about you.
Oh yes, we were talking about your beard, and everything was great.
Well, Star Citizen, yes, they're showing a hell of a lot, and that's absolutely fantastic. I think it's a great thing, especially for that project to be as open as they possibly can in development. Same with Camelot Unchained as well. They're being incredibly open, like showing early versions of models and asking for feedback on them. But I think ultimately Star Citizen, the backdrop for everything that they show is space.
Yeah, well, which is black and empty.
A spaceship. They can make very cool looking spaceships, but spaceships don't move. It's basically, it's just a picture. It's not showing, there's no animation to it, and there's no backdrop to it. So, although the player character animations look great already, so I'm sure it will turn out great. But I think it's a slightly different situation with EQNext.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the stuff coming up, because I think Georgeson was saying that very soon we're going to have a lot of information, and for people like us who make regular videos about EverQuest Next, we've been dying for new information. Like literally going, please, a clip or something, please show us a new land.
Just
something.
Really, it's really like I know we've been saying it for a few weeks, but it just feels like they're so close.
Yeah.
What I mean? Like you can see, like it was one of the things I loved about the live stream. Like every once in a while, you just see like Terry would just give a look, or like Omeed stare at the camera in a sort of sultry way, going, "You are gonna love this."
Yep.
I mean, we get comments from Dave Georgeson all the time. Like he's super pumped about everything. Like he's really confident about what they have to show, and it really feels like we're kind of getting to the crest of the wave now. So fingers crossed There's going to be a lot to talk about.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. Speculation, Lock. I'll throw it at you first. When is alpha starting for Landmark?
Omeed, do you want to send me a DM?
Yeah, send real quick, just a date. Nothing special. Just a date, when alpha, and then when can we talk about beta?
A date for alpha, which is it's been confirmed that's going to be under NDA, so no one's going to be allowed to talk about it or anything.
Yeah. Which I'm actually playing right now, but I wasn't supposed to say that.
You playing it while you're streaming? That's just rude.
Why do you think I keep looking over the other screen?
Omeed says November 32nd. Confirmed.
Confirmed. You heard it first, right here.
As soon as November 32nd comes around, that'll be when it drops. Alpha, you know, what do you class as going from pre-alpha into alpha? I keep saying, you know, winter is soon. People are going to start getting antsy. You've got a lot dropping spring next year. WildStar and Elder Scrolls Online. You know, people are going to be trying those games, and I think I'm hoping Landmark doesn't get lost in the noise from that.
Right.
Or, you know, people don't jump into Landmark because it's free, and you know they don't have enough time in it to really get invested in what they're doing.
And then they go play one of the other ones.
Yeah, although they're both subscriptions, so I imagine a lot of people will come back after the first month or so. Mm-hmm. But I think it would be great for SOE to have, you know, a decent chunk of time, but also, you know, they don't want to get it out when it's, you know, when it's not ready. You've got to make sure Trendane knows all about this. You know, if you're gonna,
that's why I was gonna put
something out.
That's why I was gonna ask him second, because I figured he has a good feel for this, the industry standard. For those not familiar, Trendane used to be a tester for Electronic Arts. And he worked on Origin. Dry heat.
Why have you
and Spore.
It's like you're snitching on him every week. It's like
because Origin is... Never mind. We won't go there. Anyway.
See, I would like to state for the record, just for Omeed's sake of sanity and everything, that I was not the one talking about penises when he came into the channel. Okay, it was not me. However, since I am apparently doing a funny voice and Omeed is in the channel and everybody's screaming his name, that means it's a double drink right now.
Wait, I haven't got the rules for the drinking game.
There aren't any. You just drink.
And it's whenever Trendane does a silly voice. So,
or anybody says Omeed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sandbox drinking game. You have to
pretty much
find your own objective and go.
Yeah, there's no quest. Yeah,
there is no quest.
So back to topic, Trendane. When do you think, just from your own viewpoint, from what you've seen as far as development goes, this is all speculation. Just what do you think? When's a good date that you would say?
When it's ready.
When it don't give me that.
That's the.
I don't want to see the soon trademark. Soon with a TM at the end.
It's the only answer that means anything. You know.
If I had to guess, I think November 32nd is probably pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say probably somewhere, probably a little bit before for Landmark, a little bit before Christmas would be my guess.
That's what I'm hoping. Like Christmas break starts and they open up the servers for beta.
You were talking about alpha.
Oh. I would hope alpha is starting.
Winter is soon. You know, if they do start pushing into March, you know, I think that's. I don't think they'll want to do that. So it's gonna have to be a pretty quick turnaround if they're gonna stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
The best part about it coming out like anywhere near Thanksgiving or Christmas is it makes sending kids to the kiddie table, you know, much easier. Just, honey, go play EverQuest next Landmark for a while. Let the grown-ups talk for a while, okay?
Hell, you probably have a hard time getting them away from
your EverQuesting.
Yeah, your EverQuesting thing.
Go do your EverQuesting.
Your clickety thing, you know, your cookie clicker dragon slaying thing.
Dragon Ball. All right, go ahead. Next question.
Oh, next question. Okay, yes. The next question actually has a name attached to it.
Okay.
But then so did the last one. This one is from Zara. And
Zara. Regular viewer Zara.
What if SOE came up with, it's odd phrasing for this question, what if SOE came up with a mobile app that allowed you to craft? You would have to have all the mats in the bank. That way people could slack off at work. And I didn't read slack off at work. Sorry. Slack off at work and craft even if they aren't logged into EQN.
That's fantastic. I love the fact that they could destroy the whole economy of the world.
Hey, the Republicans the Tea Party just did that. So,
right. Well, anyway, I don't want to get involved with that one. But yeah, you know, destroying production of companies and things like that, I think is fantastic. I think they should come up with a phone app that you could sit there, you could not only craft something, but you could put it on the shipment list so that when you log in the game and you get home at night, it's already packed and loaded on your pack mule, and you can head off and drop it off at the auction house.
I'll bet you could probably give that app to everybody at EA and double the turnaround time on most of the things they're working on.
Making them more productive.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's saying about EA.
Oh, mobile apps. I'm not sure.
No?
I'm not sure. I think it sounds cool, but I think it takes away a lot of the social aspect. And I think, you know, being able to affect the game when you're not in the game isn't something that you know, it wouldn't be an idea that I'd be thrilled about. Especially because, you know, if you've got like a mobile game where you can do things remotely like that, you know, that's so open to exploit and, you know, just...
I guess, but it also is a way that if you're in the doctor's office and you want to craft something because you're waiting for your blood work.
Well, I think it's great to have, you know, mobile-friendly things, you know, have your guild chat on there or whatever, be able to see progress of, you know, rallying calls or maybe, you know, whatever world map system they end up implementing. I'm sure we'll have kind of events popping up all over the place. You know, information about the game's great, but to be able to directly add to the game world in that way while you're not in the game, I think is a little bit dangerous. But
well, they did it with World of Warcraft. I mean, you could log in the auction house, you could sell and buy and put the items on your character, like actually put them in your character's bags.
So what we're saying is EverQuest Next Farm Mark confirmed.
Yes.
But that's, you know, was that good for World of Warcraft? Is that something that something
it was okay.
And World of Warcraft has that, you know, we've talked about this. World of Warcraft has that click on a thing and wait crafting. Mm-hmm. Do we want click on a thing and wait crafting? You know, we were talking about social crafting at the start of the show, you know, and now we're talking about not even being in the game and just cookie clickering it.
Now, Seamus James just said he was going to unsubscribe because he said it should be like WoW. I didn't say it should be like WoW. I was saying that the functionality of that particular app is not so bad.
Which is why no one I ever knew ever used it. They used the chat, you know,
the chat was
but
nice,
nothing else.
So you could hear people doing a lot of drama while you were on the pod.
Yeah, there was plenty of that. Next question.
Yeah, okay, hold on a second. Oh. There's been at least 2 or 3 bad references to Cookie Cooker so far tonight. I don't know why it was disparaging it. I am at least, right now, I think I'm at 2.7 trillion cookies per second. That is unheard of.
If you close your eyes, it's like you're playing Diablo 3.
It is just like Diablo 3.
Ooh,
okay.
Give me that Blizzard 1-2 punch. Someone say something about StarCraft.
Yeah, say something bad about StarCraft right now. The Zergs suck. Okay, go on.
I was going to say, I can't think of any. I do like Abathur, though. Abathur is really cute. I love Abathur. Anyway, so there's my StarCraft 2 reference. I like doing his voice. So, question from Feel Good. And the question is, in the live stream, they talked about how it could be an issue if EQN landmark people could see stuff you are building, but you wanted to end up selling, that they could just copy what you had built and then no profits. So, yeah, okay, I know what he's talking about. Mm-hmm. How do you think they will go about handling this? Building in a box, not showing things that are in the works. It would be kind of disappointing not to be able to run around and see everyone's work, though.
I don't know. Omeed's in the chat. Maybe he can answer that. He was the one who actually talked about
Omeed,
Yeah.
final decision on visible building. It is. I suppose it's an issue, like, you know. But if people are really that worried about people seeing what they're building, then, you know, maybe they could build a big dome around themselves.
That's a great idea. No, honestly, yeah.
So no one could see inside. I mean, if you were building something big enough that couldn't be in a dome, like, maybe it wouldn't be worth someone else's time. But I think with a thing like this, are we gonna have a patent system? Is something gonna have to be different enough to, you know, to not. I think what will end up happening is people that make a lot of popular things will have a lot of traffic to their pages on the Player Studio.
But
I think
that means people
are,
could find them while they're building something, and they could set up like a little spectator area where they could sit on benches and watch them build this amazing new thing. Or, like you were saying, build a big square cube around your thing, like the Borg, and then just build everything you want inside, like a movie studio does. You know, studio.
It looks like we're gonna have unlimited dirt blocks, so
yeah,
maybe just throw a load of them up.
Ken Ervin just says,
if you're gonna be really that
a new idea for landmark, Fippy Dark Paws Pleasure Dome.
Like, it'll be a small group of very prolific, very, very active, very creative people that make a lot of things early on that people really like, and those are the people that are going to get kind of focused on. I think, you know, that's how it'll happen, and, you know, those are the people that are going to put the most effort in. So maybe it should be like that.
And unless that is your claim, you will not be able to click on any of the blocks. Okay, so that's one thing people sometimes get confused. There is no way for you to click on blocks or move things around on somebody else's claim. So even though somebody could look at it, watch it, they wouldn't necessarily be able to build on it.
I don't think that. Well, what I took from it was not that. What I took from it is that someone would come in, see what you were building, think, oh, that's a great idea, and then build it first and beat you to the punch.
Right. So you work a real job, and you started building this amazing cathedral, and it's about done, and somebody walks by and goes, holy crap, that's amazing, and runs back to their plot of land and builds it while you're at work, and then puts it up on the store first. So yes, there is that worry, and I guess if you are an amazing developer or, you know, modeler, and you have this great idea, then yeah, I could see where that could be troublesome. So Omeed says, I think people who are making a lot of money at this will be finding protections. So if you are,
if it's that easy to copy, couldn't anyone just build it themselves? Or if it was that big and impressive, would it be that easy for someone else to copy exactly?
Well, maybe somebody's better at building than you are, and they just didn't have the idea.
Well, you know, then they could just look at your thing when it's on the Player Studio and go, "Oh, I'm going to build a better version of that," and people will prefer mine and buy mine instead because it's better. No?
Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what they could do to stop it. That's why I'm thinking it's better off if you think you're going to be building something that's going to be easily copyable, put it inside a big box.
Yeah.
Don't put a storefront window on it.
Best way.
And Omeed just says we'll probably be messing with the claim size dimensions all the way through beta. Makes sense. I mean, here's the other problem. Say like you are building some kind of really cool thing and you don't have it inside of a box, and somebody has the plot right next to you, and then somebody has a plot behind you, and somebody has a plot on the left and the right side. You're in the middle. They could technically build these huge walls and just block you in. You know.
I did think about that the other day, actually, if sort of sunlight onto plots could be affected by your neighbours.
Mm-hmm. What if they build
that's just a thought that I had. I suppose another thing you could do the old double bluff. You could build like a giant castle that was just rubbish, that was just like a grey stone box, and then build something else inside that was awesome. And then just use that as a blueprint, and no one would ever have to see it ever until it turned up on Player Studio.
Did you ever watch... what's that show? Eureka.
Simpsons.
No, Eureka. Have you ever seen Eureka? There's this guy.
One or two episodes.
There's a guy named Henry on the show, and he has this beat up old garage, and inside this garage, he's making this amazing tech stuff for like warp core engines and stuff like that. But it's inside this beat up old garage. So yeah, you could fake people out that way.
Okay.
All right.
Since the bank is calling, next question, which has no name attached. Hired NPCs to do mundane things instead of just being meat shields? Question mark.
Okay, so you hire somebody to be your brick maker, and like they sit there all day and make bricks. They go get the mud, they come back, get the straw, stick it in an oven, and make bricks for you. Is that what you're thinking? Or is that the question?
I presume that's the question. But I mean, it could theoretically tie in with what I was talking about with the tandem crafting. You could have a paid NPC to work the bellows for you to make it, make the coals hotter so that you could make a stronger steel or something.
I think it'd be cool. I'd love to have NPCs around. I wouldn't like them to be able to build things for you because I think that it's another social interaction thing that I seem to be banging on about today. But yeah, I think it should be. I think it would be better if you went to other players for that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it'd be great, like just having NPCs around doing stuff. Like it'd just add so much flavor and so much more character to any build, I think. Or and then the absence of NPCs becomes, then that becomes like it's a positive decision, then, isn't it? It's like I'm going to build an abandoned whatever as opposed to I'm going to build a populated, used environment.
All right, let's go to the next one. We got a lot of questions, don't we? Still?
Yeah, we have a few. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one is from Blue Plane.
No more from Blue.
No, good, because this is the last one from them.
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Picking it up.
Do you think that the course of events through the game, as cities are built and fall, will dictate the direction of expansions?
I think right now when we get into the game, Kinos or Quenos or however he wants to pronounce it, is going to be where we all start. But we are supposed to be able to build like Halas and all these other places, and maybe those places stick around. And if they stick around, then Kinos from the man himself. I was right. I've called it Kinos forever, and people tell me I was wrong.
But is that Nos or Nos?
Kanos sounds better. Hey, look, he works at Sony, so we're gonna go with his.
Oh, like he knows.
He knows.
Yeah.
He's fully trained in pronunciation.
It's Sony EQ spelled backwards, by the way. Anyway, I was derailed.
Yeah.
What was I talking about? Oh yes. So you're gonna build these other places, these other towns and things, and they're gonna stay. So I don't necessarily think that's an expansion. Like it's not all of a sudden Neriak expansion, and now we have Neriak. I don't think that's going to happen. I would think more like Planes of Existence or some other kind of cool thing, or the Dragon Rebellion or something would be more realistic.
I think that if the concept of each server developing on its own, depending on how people, because on this server you've got a city here and a city there, and it's not the same on the other, the server right next to it. That could make that logic a little bit unstable.
Yeah, don't know.
I think I've been thinking a lot about how story is going to work. I think to directly answer the question, I think I hope that the general building of the world is very heavily tied into landmark. I hope it is very crowdsourced from the community. Apart from maybe things that they want to keep secret from us, but large scale things I hope is a crowdsourced community player driven thing. Whereas then that that allows the team at Sony to concentrate on adding features, working on balance. Horror of horrors. I hate talking about that. And like just adding features to the game, and doing that back end coding stuff that that we all love. Content, tools to play with, more things for the players to be able to do rather than see. And that's what I hope comes out of expansions.
We just said one of the things he does in Minecraft is he makes a big tower so he can find his house again. Exactly what I've done when I started playing Minecraft and I was running around looking at things. I'm like, oh wait, where's my house? Crap. So I started making towers that were like, thousands of feet tall with torches on top, and then I would just fall to my death right next to my house, so then I could get my stuff back. But I could always find that tower again. So yeah. No, we're not playing Minecraft. We'll play. All right. All right. We have less than 15 minutes, so let's do speed questions.
Okay.
Speed question round.
Speed
God, I'm
question
terrible
round.
at this.
That's okay. There's really only like 2 left.
Okay, then that's just we can be slower.
So, well, there's kind of 4, but I was limiting it to 2 because it only came from 3 people, which I don't know how that math works, but let's move on. Can we hope to have in-game hairstyles that are based off the developer's real-life hair?
Ooh, I want Geekdomo hair.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
It was confirmed. I was talking to the devs, and yeah, they told me.
Yep. I think they should use the same thing that Star Citizen is using, full body scans of all the employees.
Because
That'd be cool.
That would be scary. What, are you kidding me?
Terry's amazing flowing locks would just be,
To die for.
But that's an interesting thing. In Landmark, are we going to see like a player studio thing? Like in PlanetSide, people can build a lot of hats and stuff. Is a hairstyle something that could be made with that same technology? I don't know.
The thing I'm talking about is from what is it? Infinite Realities. If you guys look for it on the web, I actually do a video talking about it for Star Citizen. It's scary, the detail that these things get, but this game isn't like that. This isn't realism. They're using a stylized look in EverQuest Next, so they wouldn't work. But maybe hair.
Well, Omeed just said anatomically correct hair, so I think that fits. Okay, so next question.
Perfect.
Any speculation on required PC specs will be?
Something between a Pentium 4 and whatever the latest CPU is.
SLI Titans.
Yes.
Say my Core 2 Duo probably won't handle it.
No, I think it will. I don't. Maybe we can mention that. I don't know, but I think the specs right now are pretty low. Like they're not. They're making it accessible for most PC players.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll want as many people as possible in there. So
it doesn't run on his Tandy. What about the TRS 80?
I got a VIC 20 down in the garage.
I've got an LTR 8800.
What about my
I'm not as old as you guys, so I got nothing.
Crusty stuff.
Just gonna load it up on ENIAC.
Yeah, Commodore 64 with a tape drive.
Yeah. I installed Windows XP on punch cards once. That took about 75 years. So next question. Do we think Storybricks could evolve to letting players create their own content/storyline of sorts for other players to use, which could be rated by others? Well, I may have misread that, but I think we got the gist of it.
They were talking about that Storybricks. You'll be able to build your own dungeon. Sorry, I keep hitting my mic. You'll be able to build your own dungeon and put your own NPCs in with your own Storybricks AI. They did say that. They confirmed that, right?
I don't think it's been confirmed, but it was very, very heavily
intimated.
Georgeson, yeah. It's such an obvious extension of what's going to be possible with Landmark. I'd be amazed if it was too long before we could start, making our own dungeon type content or. PvE experiences.
So there's a very good possibility that you will be, say, if you sell Dungeon X, like you make, this is my Dungeon X, and it's shaped like the letter X, and it's a dungeon, and I put all the NPCs in it, and I made all the things. If you sell that on the marketplace to somebody who wants to put that piece of that dungeon in their dungeon, I believe you would probably be able to attach the Storybricks AI with it, and in that case, you would have the ability to edit that later on. Is that what they were asking, right?
Sounds about right.
This stuff, it sounds cool for us, but look at it. I mean, if you look at it from Sony's perspective, they can like crowdsource PvE content to be able to put it into the world, to put these like events and things into the world, just in a hole underground somewhere. If someone's made a dungeon that is underground, they can just put that in the world and just leave it there. How incredible is that? Just leave it there for people to discover, or organically on their own. And it's such a beautiful thing to be able to do. And it's the old problem with the theme park MMO, isn't it? You can't possibly create content fast enough.
Right.
The players aren't going to exhaust it, faster than you can make it. But now they can outsource this content creation to players who are making what they want to see, and then they can just slot that in wherever they like. Incredible. Such an incredibly powerful thing.
Omeed's leaving, so if he's already left, sorry. But if he's not, thanks a lot for coming. And I do want to mention that some people were beating up the EverQuest devs for doing their live show. And I don't know of any other game that has done this much support for the community. I mean, pretty much every live show I've seen and ones that we've done have always had at least 1 or 2 devs show up. So that's pretty amazing. And we're not anything big. I mean, if you look at the number of viewers we have right now, it's not that amazing. So for them to come here and chat with us and put in their 2 cents and help out as much as they can, I really do appreciate it.
That's the thing. They are genuinely active on Twitter. They do read the forums. They do read Reddit. They are on fan sites. They're not just blowing smoke up us, making us feel like we're important. Like they are listening. They are taking things on board, and they are looking for good ideas.
And they do embarrass people in newsletters. Yes.
They do embarrass people in newsletters. That was so brilliant.
Yeah. All right. So back to the questions. I'm sorry. But
That's okay.
Definitely impressed.
Last question. This one comes from Mobuhiro and says, will you be able to use in-game currencies to buy player blueprint or just via the player studio?
I wish Omeed was still here for that, because I don't have a clue, and I don't think they've even mentioned anything like that yet. You can almost guarantee just by looking at their other games, like not just EverQuest. I'm thinking their superhero one. What's that? My brain stops. But anyway, I'm sure that they'll have some sort of
DCUO.
DCUO. Thank you. And they'll have some Sony cash, or the SC gold pieces.
Yeah.
So
do they do that? Is that like a Plex system where you can buy it with money and then actually trade it for station cash?
Yeah, station cash, SC.
Yeah, I hope that there's a system like that. I think things like that are great, especially in free-to-play games.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's about it for today. We went a little longer than we were supposed to, but that's what happens. Sorry about.
I'm glad we did it. I feel good.
I feel good too. At least we got it out, and it wasn't perfect, but it is what it is.
I had fun. I always enjoy doing this, and it's nice to be back after missing last week. So thank you very much, gentlemen.
Yep, thanks a lot for being here, Trendane and Lock. Next week, I think we'll try to set this up a bit earlier, so we have some sort of fallback.
two other things. One, Bard, save your question for next week, and we'll do it there. And 2, Diggs Briarthorn on Twitter said, "If wishes were fishes, I wish for a set day and time for Into the Portal."
Oh, it's like herding cats.
Is a popular question by a long way.
I really, really apologize about that. It's really hard because sometimes Locke's working, sometimes I'm working, sometimes Trendane's working, or we're all busy at different times. Okay, Trendane's not working, but
difference as well doesn't.
And we're spanning the globe here pretty much. I'm in the middle. Locke is all the way in England, and Trendane's all the way in California. So we're about as far apart as you can still get and be on the same date.
Yeah. We should try and get someone from East Asia and Australia just to
Singapore.
Just to make it even more awkward.
Completely awkward. Yes. So it's actually tomorrow when we're talking to the Singapore people. When are we going to see Zaphos again? We don't know. Zaphos is working. He is working on the Large Hadron Collider, and he has found the boson. The Higgs boson. He was
unfortunately sucked into an anomaly.
And he was sucked into an anomaly, and so he won't be here for another 2 weeks because he doesn't exist yet. So when we finally get word that he's back in our time zone, we'll have him back on the show. So this video will be available on Geekdomo's website or YouTube channel, Lock's channel, and Trendane's channel. We'll make it available, and also EverQuest Nexus, which is our sponsors. So everybody, if you're new into EverQuest Next, you're trying to find out more about it, go to www.eqnexus.com. There's a great community over there. People like the devs and also regular folks chat over there on that site. So it's a great site.
It's a fantastic source of information as well. The articles and everything on there are really, really brilliant.
So thanks a lot, everybody, and we will see you next week for another Into the Portal.
Be careless.
Cheers, guys.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.